I'm Isadora, and today I read Isadora has a sleepover. Last series, I read a Korean book with us. This one and this, and I read this one. Isadora goes to school trip. Oh, I read this one too, and this one is already. I don't have this two one. Okay, chapter 1. We're going to have a competition, Mystery announced to the class. One bright and flowery spring afternoon, a baking competition is going to be the program you all watch on the television. Sponge and sprinkle. Oh, said Oliver, I love the show. Me too, shouted Sashi excitedly. I watch it every week. The winners, continued Mystery, will win tickets to final show. We get in the antennas and watch in real life. Eee, scared Joe. Next to me, the class all started to chatter excitedly. Everyone exclaimed me. I don't know everything or anything about Sponge and Sprinkle. I don't even have a TV at home. My mom is a family. She loves being a teenager and can't understand why humans like sit in front of boxes with moving picture of them. And if we did have a TV, I would be only worried to Sponge Sprinkle while Dad was out of the house. For him, it'd be horror show. He's a vampire and find all food disgusting unless it is red. You will need to partner up, Mystery, said Mystery, and try to bake the most spectacular cake you can. The best cake will win the ticket. You have all weekend to make your cake, and I will judge them on Monday morning. Eee, scared Joe again. This is so exciting. Isadora, you will be my partner, won't you? Of course, I said, delighted. Joe is my best friend, apart from Pink Rabbit. He used to be my favorite stuffed toy, but my mom made it alive with her wand. I got a good idea, said Joe. Why don't you come to my house on Saturday? We can bake the cake and then have a sleepover. It will be so fun. We can sleep in the same room and tell ghost stories and have a secret midnight feast. I would love that, I said. I've never been to a sleepover before. I get my mom to ask your mom. After school then, said Joe. Oh, it will be so fun. I can't wait. We're going to have a sleepover too, said Oliver from behind us. Bruno and I are going to make the best cake in the world. It's going to be a dinosaur one, said Bruno, with green. Shh, Oliver, don't tell them our plan. Oops, sorry, said Bruno, turning red. It's not going to be a dinosaur, and it's okay, said Joe. Don't worry, we will steal your idea. We have a much better one. Do we? I asked. We pack out all the things to go home. Well, whispered Joe, not yet, but we will. Is the drawing going to have on a sleepover? Said Mom at breakfast. That evening we have two breakfasts in our house because Dad slept through the day and wake at the night. A sleepover? Asked Dad. Why? For fun, said Mom. Humans like them, apparently. They do, I said. My friends are always having sleepovers. Joe says you get to stay up all night at the midnight feast. Oh, asked Dad, confused. That sounds like my normal life. He continued to read just after making a horrible slopping sound. When he finished, he wiped his mouth and said, "Humans are funny creatures." The next day, my pack up for the sleepover. I want to make sure that I didn't forget anything. I put in my bed a patterned pajamas, my slippers, my pillow, and my sleeping bag. From then, we went camping. That would be everything, I said to Pink Rabbit. Can you think of anything else? Pink Rabbit pointed at my wand, which was lying on my bedroom table. I picked up and added into the thing in my bed. Good thinking, I said. It will be used to be a torch. By the time I had finished packing my bag, I was feeling a little nervous. Don't worry, said Mom. I sure you have a lovely time. I sure I will, I said to small voice. As we walked up the drive to Joe's front door, I suddenly wasn't sure if I want to go to either. Maybe I shouldn't stay the night. I said maybe I should go to a few hours and then you can pick me up if you like, said Mom. But I didn't want you see Joe. You change your mind. How about if I tell to the dad to come and check on you tonight? Darling is nicely fly. He can wait in George's garden, and if you're still awake at midnight, you can look out the window and wave to show Joe is okay. Well, all right, I said, feeling a lot better. Mom knocked on the door and heard the excited patters of footsteps coming toward it. Isadora, said Joe. When it opened, she jumped off his top of me and gave me such a huge squeeze hug that I dropped my bag on the floor. Hello, Isadora, said Joe, ma'am, smiling. She looked so friendly and welcoming that soon I didn't feel nervous anymore. Mom kissed me goodbye, and I waved her over excitedly. Do you want to have some tea? Asked Joe. I got my special Doris tea set out. It's already. She led me through to the kitchen, where she laid the table. Mom let me make a fairy bread as a treat. Fairy bread? I asked, wondering what it was. I have never heard of it. Even my mom is a fairy. Yes, said Joe, sitting down on one of the chairs. It's delicious. Look. On the two small plates were slices of bread, buttered and sprinkled all over 100,000. I knew it would make you feel at home, said Joe, biting into hers. So what could I hear the 100,000 crunching between her teeth? We do have being hard fairy and everything. Thanks, Joe, I said, biting in my own piece of a bread. I didn't like to tell Joe that it wasn't a real fairy thing. It must be something the human and bite. It's yummy, isn't it? Crunched away. I nodded politely. My mom was too full of butter and cake spring to speak. The fairy butter was nice, but not quite as nice as my usual peanut butter sandwich snack. While we ate it, we watched a small television on the kitchen wall. An episode of Sponge and Sprinkle was on. 5 people stood behind pale pink counters with missing bowls and wooden spoon in their hand. 3, 2, 1, bake! Shouted the prisoner. Whipping her up, she was so exciting that her ice cream swirl of hair was wobbling all over the place. The container started functionally pouring inside instruments of bowls. Butter, sugar, flour, chocolate chip, both of the setting strings. Our eyes glued with the screen. Maybe we can get impression of our cake, I said. Whippy Merclap started to dance around the room, dipping her fingers into the container's bowl and tasting their different mixture. Lovely, she cried. Oh, Justy! Lemon, she sent a beam smile to the camera as her white tears were splashing. She's so fun, said Joe. I would love to meet her. Well, maybe we can, I said, if we win the competition. Chapter 2. When we had finished our tea, we went to find Joe. Mom, can you help us with our cake now? Asked Joe. We want to make one like one we just throw sponge dripping on sprinkle. It was huge, I said, with 5 different layers, all different flavors. Coffee, chocolate, raspberry, lemon, and pumpkin. I had never seen such a wonderful cake before. Joe's mom laughed. You need a lot of ingredients for a cake like that. She said, I have to go to the supermarket if you're serious. You are serious, said Joe. We really want to win the ticket. Joe's mom looked at her watch. Well, alright, she said. I pop there now. We need some fish for dinner anyway. That's in the garden if you need anything. Oh, thank you, said Joe, jumping up and down. While we wait for Joe's mom to come back, we went up to Joe's bedroom. I love Joe's bedroom. It's always so interesting. He has butterflies paint on the walls and lots of posters stuck on our neighbor doors. He also has the biggest dressing up box of everything I know. Where shall we play the rest up? I said, opening the box and beginning to arrange it. Sure, said Joe, taking out some pink fairy wing and a sparkly silver crown. She put them on, then added a pair of slip-on shoes with pom-poms on the toes. I know, she said. Why don't I be a fairy king and you a vampire king? We can be best friends, but the little of different kingdoms. My kingdom will be on a floppy pink cloud. I'm going to have a palace there every night from class, and everything will make a slip of no roses. She began to spray herself all with the flower-scented perfume. Okay, I said, taking a tall, shimmery black crown out of the box and putting it on my head. My kingdom will be up in the night sky, surrounded by glitter stars, and I will have 100 pets, and Pink Rabbit be the vampire prince. Pink Rabbit looked pleased at my satisfaction, and began to hop on and dance happily. Coco will be a fairy princess, said Joe, picking a favorite toy monkey from her pillow and hugging it to her chest. Pink Rabbit watched interestedly. Then he bounced to Joe and held out his pie. Pink Rabbit wanted to shake Coco's hand, I said. Joe knelt down and held the monkey out of Pink Rabbit. Coco is so pleased to meet you, she said. And Pink Rabbit's ears twitched with happiness. He began to stroke Coco's stripy tail. I think they like each other, I said. I think so too, laughed Joe. Then a whispered look came over the face. Isadora, she said, do you think that maybe you could magic Coco alive just one hour game? I think Pink Rabbit would love it, and I would too. I glanced at my wand, poking out of my bed in the corner of the room. I guess I could, I repeated. Hurrying out of the kitchen, Joe started to jump up and down with excitement. Could you? She whispered. Rachel, really? I tried. I said, I only done this spell once before. Drew, I make a few tries. I pointed to my wand and Coco the monkey and squeezed my eyes tightly shut. I waved my hand, then opened my eyes again. A stream of twinkling sparks fell down onto Coco, slanting all over the floor. Oh, said Joe in wonder. The sparks began to fade. And underneath them, Coco blinked her button eyes. That spell had a worst time. Wait a minute. I get this. So wait a minute. Okay, sorry, Minette, for a lady too. Oh my, scared Joe, her hand flying to her mouth in utterance. Coco twitched her arms and then her tail. Then she stood up shakily on her forward legs and jumped into Joe's arms. Joe hugged Coco tightly, and I could see tears shining in my corner of my eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, thank you. That's okay, I said, feeling pleased too. Joe was so happy. Pink Rabbit was happy too. She was bouncing up and down my Joe bit, trying to get Togo's attention. We began to play our game, printing the Joe bat with a pink dot that was a fluffy pink cloud. We laid out a black starry cake from a dressing up box too. When I stood on top of it, I was in my vampire kingdom, inside my dark ghostly castle with my 100 pet flapping around me. I'm going to fly to your palace now, I said, and flapped into the air, flying the short distance across the floor and landing on George's bed. I'm going to fly too, said Joe, flapping her flat fairy wing and jumped down onto the floor. She stretched both her arms out wide and ran round the room in circles. Coco skipped around behind her, and Pink Rabbit followed. I flying through the sky, said the church. It for a floppy pink cloud. As I watched her, I had an idea. What a lovely surprise it'd be for Joe. It's magical to pretend a fairy into life. When I was sure she wasn't looking, I waved my wand again. Spark and glitter flew through the air, and suddenly her wings started to flap on their own. George began to rise up towards the ceiling. Oh my goodness, she squealed. Look at me, you're really flying. I laughed, flapping my own wing and joined her in the air. Around the land loom she flew until we got tired and landed back down on the path with the bones. As we did so, we heard the sound of a door opening downstairs. My mom must be back, said Joe. She grabbed my hand and we raced down the stairs together and into the kitchen, leaving Coco and Pink Rabbit playing in the bedroom. Gosh, said Dad, Mom, you two look a little different from my left. I'm a fairy king and Isadora a vampire king, said Joe. Well, if you two kin would care to wash your hands and put on some appearance, said Joe, Mom, we can start making the cake. I felt a feed of excitement as Joe Mom started to lay out all the ingredients on the table. Flour, butter, sugar, and egg. There were a little bottle of food colorings too, a slab of chocolate to be melted, and a piping bottle for ice cream. If you like with sponge and sprinkles, said Joe. She watched her mom measure out some sugar and butter and put them in 2 bowls. She gave one to Joe and one to me, and we began to mix them wooden spoons. It was harder than I did it way, because the butter was still very soiled from being in the supermarket fridge. We would use your wand to help it along a bit, whispered Joe when her mom back was turned. Oh, I don't know, I said, jamming my spoon into a little harder butter. I'm not sure we should mind with my wand on my way cake. It might be cheating. Not really, said Joe. It's only to make the butter softer. It will be just like mixing a food mixer. Our wand is broken at the moment. I suppose I said, okay, I will go and fetch it. I hurried out of the room and went back to the Joe's bedroom. Pink Rabbit and Coco was both sitting on the floor, looking at one of Joe's books together. I grabbed my wand and ran back downstairs. As soon as Joe's mom turned her back, I waved at our mixing bowls. Spark, freeze, and twinkles, and suddenly the butter and sugar in our bowls became perfectly smooth and mixed. Yes, said Joe, perfect. Wow, said Joe Mom when she turned back around. Good job. She measured on some flour and poured it into her bowls. We mixed in together with some egg. Now for the complicated part, said Joe Mom. If you want a 5-layer cake, we need to split the mixture into 5 different bowls and then put the different flavor in each of them. She began to separate the mixture. I'll squeeze and let the lemon for the first layers of the cake. This is going to be so delicious, I said. After the lemon, we add some raspberry to the second bowl mixture, and then chocolate chips and cocoa powder to the third. I chose pumpkin for the fourth layer, and Jo chose coffee for the fifth, even though she hated the smell. It's for Miss Cherry, she explained. I know she loved coffee because she always had a mug in on her desk. Jo Mom laughed. That's Nicky Tarek, she said. When the meter were ready, she poured them into 5 tins of different sizes. Then Joe's mom popped them into a big double oven. We checked on them in half an hour, she said, and let them bloom. Joe and I peered through the open doors in the 5 cake minutes. You could a little spare on them, said Joe, to make them rise really high. Oh, I said, a vision rotting into my mind of a cake taller than us. I raised my hand and watched as the cake measured in the oven began to puff around to twist the normal size. Wow, said Joe's mom when she came to bake in the cake. Look how they are. And grabber it, she took them out of the oven and tore them out into logs. They smell delicious. While we wait for them to cool, Joe Mom helped us make the icing, a different color for every layer. Then she left us to ice the cake. This cake is going so amazing, said Joe as we began to spread the icing onto the squirrel sponge. We tried to win. I hope so, I said wonderfully in a little pot of sprinkle and shake out tiny hearts and flowers on the cake. Now that all the layers were on top of each other, it was so tall that Joe and I couldn't see over the top. What would make it really sparkle, said Joe. If the icing was glittery, I never did glitter icing before. No, have I said. But a great idea. I waved my wand so that its icing began to glitter. For good measure, I waved my wand over the sprinkles too. They began to sparkle, crackle, and pop like tiny fireworks. Amazing, cried Joe. We continued to decorate the cake, adding some icing and all of confetti. I love it. We continued to decorate the cake, adding some icing and a few more sprinkled there and piping swirls and twirls all around the edge. I waved my wand again, casting a few more tiny little stars to add a bit more magic and flavor to our creation. When we had finished, we stood back and admired her handiwork. Wow, said Joe, with eyes glittering in the reflection out of a magic cake. There's no way we want the cake to competition. We began to happily dance around the room. We're going to win the ticket, she sang. We're going to make a whipping McFrop. I let her feel really happy that Joe was so pleased. Oh my goodness, gasped Joe Mom when she came into the kitchen a while later. What a Saturday cake! She walked around it, marveled at all the little details. I bugle literally, I think, she said. It didn't say on the packet. And look at those sprinkles. They spinning around like miniature pinwheel fireworks. How clever, Joe whined. But I started to feel inspiration. Maybe we got a little carried away wand waving. Chapter 3. After dinner, Joe and I ran upstairs to our bedroom. It was dark outside now and time to get ready for bed. Let's lay out all your midnight things, said Joe exactly. We opened my bag together and all of my spring bag. Do you have a mattress? Asked Mom, or should I ask Mom for one? I got home, Mom, I said. I remember in my bag. It took a little velvet pouch. That's tiny, said Joe. How can you fit a whole mattress in there? It's a fairy one, I said, opening the pouch and flinging a small floppy pink cloud As soon as it is bigger in the air, the cloud gets bigger and bigger until it is double fat and all squishy. Pink grabbed and Coco and Mike leapt onto it, and Pink jumped out and died. Oh, said Joe, it looks so comfy. You can share with me. It looks like. I said, there's plenty of room. Joe pulled her outfit from bed and laid it next to my sleeping bag on top of the cloud. And oh, this is so exciting, she said. I love sleepover. We both bounced up and down on the cloud for a bit with Pink Rabbit and Coco. As it was so squishy, and then we went into the bathroom to get ready for bed. Oh no, I suddenly remember something. I forgot my toothbrush. Don't worry, said Joe, opening a drawer underneath the sink. We have a sprayer head. A spearhead? I asked, what do you mean? George and big chunky toothbrush with a button on it. X-ray, she said. I put the sprayer button, pressed the button. I pressed the button to spray it when it began to bright firstly on in my hand. Oh, I said, surprised. I have never seen an extra toothbrush before. That would be interesting indeed. I tried to get some toothpaste on the brush, but it could return so fast a bit that the wheel that right of it sprouting onto the walls. Hang on, said Joe, take the toothpaste from turning it off. You have to take it in your mouth first before you turn it on. She squeezed the toothpaste onto the brush, and I put it into my mouth and pressed the button. My whole head began to breathe. My beaded chin started to shake. But when I had finished my food, I never screamed. I tell my dad about this. I said, she always interested in new blooming product. Do you want to make a face mask? Asked Joe. Opened the drawer again and got out 2 small packets. I've seen my mom do them. I'm sure she won't mind. She opened one of the little packets and took a wet sheet of paper and 2 holes in it. She smelled of cucumbers. She sat on a sheet over her face so that only her eyes were poking off the cords. You're like a ghost. I scared up my own packing and put a mask onto my face. It was cool and made my cheek tingle. We both peered into a mirror. I don't know why grown up to silly things, said Joe. We look so freaky. Maybe it's because they secretly like dressing up too. I said we look like ghosts. We began to dance around and put our hand up in the air like clothes. Ooh, well, Joe, I'm coming to get you. You chased me out of the bathroom and back across the landing to our bedroom. What's going on up there? Called Joe, flying with her. It's time to get in bed, girls. Joe whipped the mask off her face and scratched it up. I did the same, and by the Joe Mom come to say goodnight, we were boys lie quietly in bed. Sensory side by side with the Pink Rabbit and Coco snuggled between us. Good night, girls, she said, turning off the light and snored the word sleep well. Night, Mom, said Joe. We waited there in the dark for a bit. Alright, it wasn't properly dark because Joe had a nightlight plugged into the wall. We need to stay awake, she whispered, so that we can offer a midnight feast. Oh, yes, yes. What should we have? Cake, snuggled Kate, Joe giggling. We don't can't the cake. I know, I was only joking. We have to find something else. Maybe we can eat the rest of the sprinkles. Maybe, I said, my mind drifting back to the cake. I was starting to feel a little bit sad. I kept thinking of Oliver and Bruno and how excited they had been about the dinosaur cake. I knew they would have put a lot of hard work into it. Joe, I whispered, what? I don't think we should enter our cake in the competition. Why not? Said Joe, sitting bored up in the bed. Of course we should enter our cake, but we create. I said, we use magic. I've been thinking it around about it all evening. I don't think it will fail. It was a little bit of magic, Joe in a quiet voice. A lot of more than a little bit, I said. And really, we shouldn't they have loads than are. We are having so much fun that they carried away. But have to enter the cake, said Joe again. We meant to meet Whippy McFlop, don't we? Well, yes, I said. I really want to win and meet Whippy McFlop, said Joe, starting to sound a bit upset. Okay, I said, not wanting to run the sleepover with an mermaid. I tried to change the subject instead. How are we going to start awake? I asked for the midnight feast. By telling ghost stories, said Joe, freaking out and giving a little shiver. She lit a torch and put it under her chin. I start, she said, and she began to tell a story. It was around the old woman who trailed the scare out of town, and dogs dragging chains began then clink and clank all night long. That sounds a bit unrealistic, I said. I thinking of that friendly ghost Oscar who lived in my attic at home. Let me tell you a real ghost. But Oscar, not scary, said Joe. Ghost stories have to be scary. That's the point of them. Oh, I said, confused. Never mind, said Joe. Let's talk about the biggest wish instead. Do you know what mine is? To meet Whippy McClub close, but no, said Joe. My biggest wish is that we can best friends forever, and we glow up. We can live in house next door to each other. Oh, Joe, I said, that's a lovely wish. I have it come true. Joe smiled at her Coco, who was snuggling in her arms. What's yours? She asked. We need to keep talking so that we can stay around the room until midnight. I said. Let me just think about it. Lalu went quiet for a moment, and all I could hear was the tick-tock of the clock. I know, I said at last. Apart from staying your best friend forever, my biggest wish is become the friend of the ballerina, a vampire fairy ballerina. But Joe didn't repeat. She had closed her eyes to go to sleep, tightly hugging Coco the monkey, who had fallen asleep too. I suppose we want to have a midnight feast after all, I went to Pink Rabbit, and I closed my eyes aware, but it was difficult to fall asleep. The click and the noises for the night sound different in Joe's house, and I wasn't used to have a night light in my bedroom or so. I was still feeling wondering about my cake. The end about how it was created by use of magic wand. More I knew about it, the glitter I felt. I was still awake, worrying that Joe glowed in the dark clock showed that it was midnight. Quietly, I slipped out of bed and paddled over the window. But I peered out into the dark garden, but couldn't see Dad. Maybe he had forgotten. Then I looked up there into the sky and saw a black shape floating toward the house in the light of the fingernail moon. I opened the window as softly as possible and climbed out, flapping my wings and flying over to meet Dad in the middle of the air. Hey, said I told you would be asleep by now. I couldn't sleep, I told him. We flew up the roof of the house together and sat on the soft tiles. Dad wrapped me in his cake when we look at the stars for a while. So tell me why you can't sleep, said Dad. It is because everything is different at Joe's house. Well, it is different. I said they had night light and extra toothbrush and television in the kitchen, but that's not why I can sleep. Oh, said Dad. We made our cake for the competition, I explained, but we used my magic wand to make it really impressive, and now if we win, we'd only be because we cheat, and we won't be fair on the others. I don't know what to do because Joe really wants to enter the cake, but I don't think she should. I see your problem, said Dad. Do you remember when your cousin Mirabelle spurned you to take a dragon to school and got you into all sorts of trouble? I nodded. Well, that is me a Lord's petition, said Dad. It's important to stand up for what you believe in. If you don't think it's right to take the cake into school, then you must let Joe push you into it. If you, if the best friend and you want to make her happy, I sure you know deep down it could be wrong. Really? I said, feeling loud better. Do you think so? I sure of it, said Dad. He smiled and loved my messy hair. Now, there me to be more of this interactive toothbrush. Chapter 4. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning when I flew back in Joe's room and closed the window gently behind me. I slipped back into a big, squishy cloud bed and snuggled down with Pink Rabbit. This time I had no trouble getting sleep. I closed my eye, and the next time opened that it was morning and sunlight as I was dreaming through the window. Wakey, wakey, said Joe, who was already from the bouncing out of her room with Coco with Maggie. She was busy getting on her door clothes and not laying out on the floor. Which outfit do you want to, Coco? She asked. The striped dress or baby grow? Coco ran across the room and onto the wardrobe. She did not want to wear any clothes. It seemed to be a long time before Joe Mom called out down for breakfast, and by the time we walked into the kitchen, my tummy was rumbling. My parents like to have a lie-in with the weekend, explained Joe. Breakfast at Joe was very different than how we did in my house. We usually have toast and fairy flour, nutri yogurt, and red juices for that, but in Joe's house there was a bacon, eggs, mushroom, tomato sausage, and orange juice. Yum! I said as we wait. I started cake sitting on the counter behind the table. Then we had finished our breakfast and cleared away. I grabbed your arm. We really can't enter the cake, I said. It wouldn't be fair. But began Joe looking disappointed. It would be cheating, I said. If we all four we won't think about it, I suppose, said Joe. She looked down at her hand and twisted them around. We don't enter it, she said. But can we make another one before you go home with about magic? Gosh, said Joe, can we have another cake? You must have really make the first one. We did, I said, because it was completely true. For the next few hours, we stayed in the kitchen and used up the last of the ingredient from the day before, making another cake. It was much smaller and not nearly as impressive as the first one, but I felt much happier about entering in the competition. I'll bring it on Monday, said Joe as I picked up my to go home. She held my sketched up magic fairy clouds back into a tiny pouch. I have a best time, she said. It wins the best sleepover ever. It has, I agreed, giving her a big hug. Thank you for magicking my monkey, said Joe, stroking Coco, who was still on the shoulder. I know I only have to magic for our game, but can you stay right for a ways? For a ways, I promise. I have to explain to my parents somehow, said Joe, and we both giggled. Then I picked up my suitcase, and we went downstairs. Did you have a lovely time? Asked Mom as we walked home together. The loveliest time, I said, and I told her about 2 cakes we had made. The next day at the school, there are excited chatter in the classroom. My friends had all gotten their cake and were lining them up the big table at the back of the classroom. Goodness me, Miss Cheerfrom was saying. I I'm going to have trouble choosing the winner. I scurried over to and looked at the cakes that are already been buggled in sashi and Samantha at the most in shape of the flower, with little butterflies featured all over it. It was very pretty. Dominic and Jasper made a cake like the shape of a robot, covered in gray icing with jelly sweet for the buttons. In the middle of the cake table stood the Adriano and Oliver dinosaur cake. I could tell the motive effort into this than anywhere else, but added in Ben for sponge sugar sauce covering green icing, with twinkle biscuit spikes stuck all the way from it back. That the mother little trees and smaller dinosaur out of icing, and placed them around the staggered cells to make an embrace landscape. When I saw it, I felt more impressed than ever that Joe was bringing the new cake and not the one for a magic. I wondered where she was. It was not like the Lakers girl. Sorry, Miss Chili came to the front of the doorway, said, and Joe came into the room carrying a huge cake. It was a towering magical cake with glittery icing and tiny pinwheel fireworks spinning and the sparkle all over it. A cake with 5 layers with one of diagonal form. I started the cake, my mouth fell open in horror, and I grabbed one pink velvet pouch. Wow, said Big Cherry, her eyes almost popping out of her head. It amazing. She hurried over to help Joe lift the cake onto the table. It stood there like a mountain, looping even Joe, Bruno, and Oliver dinosaur cake. I'm sorry, whispered Joe when she came to stand next to me. I just stood and listening there morning. I saw the two cakes sitting side by side on the corner, and these looked so matter. But I said, staying too cross and upset. Don't be cross, Joe begged. We reached out of her hand under the desk, but I snatched it away. I felt like she had it behind me. Isadora, Joe whispered. Her voice sounded a little wobbly now. I'm sorry, I just... Quiet, please, said Miss Cherry, holding her hand for silence in the classroom. It's time to test the cakes. She went over to the cake and cut a small slice of each of them. She said in never too lovely. When we got our cake, we took a tiny slit of the later and tasted them all. Her eyes were big and round. My goodness, she said, this flavor are sensation. Those sprinkles are just popping in my mouth. See, whispered Joe next to me, but she didn't know. I declare Joe and Isadora the winners, said Miss Cherry, tucking an envelope from her pocket and holding it up in the air. The tickets are yours. Joe stood up and walked over to the table. I followed her, my cheek burning with shame. She took the ticket and held them in the cake. Your cake is a work of art, said Miss Cherry. It must have taken you all weekend. It did, said Joe, but her voice sounded choked now. I looked across the Toronto and Oliver was sitting. They were clapping close with the others, but I could see the disappointment in their face. Well done, both of you, said Miss Cherry, smiling. Now I think we all had a slice of cake. We began to cut the cake on little squares and put them on paper. And she did so, the class chattered. We can go and sit them now, Miss Cherry said to us. And Joe started to walk back toward the table, clutching the ticket in her hand. I followed her, still feeling very angry and upset. I wonder if I should go back and tell Miss Cherry that she tripped. But just as Joe got back to her chair, she stopped and stood very for a moment. Then she turned around and back to the table. When Miss Cherry was cutting the cake, I followed. Miss Cherry, she said, I need to tell you something. Yes. Isadora and I don't deserve to win this cake yet. What do you mean, Miss Cherry? Stop cutting a Fisher, Sashi, and Samantha flower cake. and looked up. We cheated, said Joe in a small voice. The cake wasn't all one, were we? Used Isadora went to make some of it. Oh, said Miss Cherry, she said at this point. I'm really sorry, said Joe. It was my fault. Isadora didn't know the entered cake, but I buckled it anyway. I see, said Miss Terry. What a shame. She didn't seem cross, but she held her hand out for a ticket and Joe gave that back. I will have the judge again, she said. I know, said Joe, starting at the floor as a little tear escaped from eyes. Now, said Jess. We all do things we shouldn't sometimes, and we do the right thing in owning up. Joe sniffed. And winners of that, we can all enjoy some delicious cake now. We gave one of the plate to Joe and one to me. We went out, squeezed Joe's hand and gave her a big smile. Right, said Miss Cherry dear, a big change of plan. For reasons I wasn't discussed. Joe and Isadora had been difficult of competition. The new winners are Bruno and Oliver. Yes, shouted Bruno and Oliver, both leaping out of chairs and dancing around the room. And they looked so pleased and delighted, and I felt glow even the warm, the whole body. Hoo-hoo! Shouted Oliver, waving the ticket in the air. It really is the most favorite dinosaur cake, said Miss Cherry. The best I ever seen. Joe looked down at the hand, and I knew she was feeling a bit sad about not winning the ticket and getting to meet the Whippy McFlop. I tell you what, I said, why don't you come around to mine next week for a sleepover? You can bring cocoa and we make a real magic fairy cake with my mom. Then I get my dad to use a proper vampire midnight feast on the roof of our house. And we go to the flight almost the stars. Jo looked up, her eyes sparkling. I love that, she said, drawing her arm around my cheek and giving me a huge, squishy hug. There's nothing I like to do anymore. Okay, have a fun time, Isadora and Joe. Okay, this is your mom or dad. Okay, left this and bye bye. See you next time.